So thanks for coming through. Yeah, that's that teamwork we're looking for. Thank you very much. And so this morning, we're going to have a session and it's going to be about financial self-care. We've heard of self-care as, so most of them, you may have had it on maybe social media, TikTok, and everyone is talking about self-care. And probably someone may understand this as relaxing bubble baths, maybe massages, and anything of that kind. But we do forget that self-care sometimes, actually not sometimes, but self-care does extend to our finances as well, right? And with self-care, you do take care of yourself to feel better, to look better, and also be prepared to take on the day and also take on the future, right? And so about this feeling, so the feeling of the day to day, it's about feeling in control of your day to day. Yeah. And if you can control your finances day to day and in being able to make financial choices that allow you to enjoy your life and also feeling in control of your day to day. Um, I think that's a feeling we all are looking for in most cases, right? You want to be in control of whatever situation that's thrown at you, right? So, for example, if your friends came to ask for a trip or let's go on a trip, you want to be in control to be able to attend because you want to have fun there. So that's a situation we're looking for in this case, right? Being in control of ourselves and also being able to take on decisions on a daily basis, right? So that being said, so we could relate to, for example, what's the feeling of most of us may have credit cards, right? What's the feeling if or you've taken out a loan at some point? So that feeling you get of when you've cleared your loan, for example, you cleared off your balance, right? I believe most of us may find that as a spa day, for example, yeah, because you feel like a load has been taken off your shoulders. So that's the self-care we are targeting here, right? So how are we able to control and also be in position to feel better about ourselves, right, financially? So unfortunately, if you may have read in different articles across the web, and you may find that people in finance or people in accounting as well tend to make very bad financial decisions, which is very ironic in itself. And also, you may find that quite a number of them do file for bankruptcy later on in life. And you wonder, most of us are exposed to different financial scenarios. Most of us are exposed to different models, financial models. Yeah. So depending on where you work, you're exposed to those. And some people are also in advisory work. You're advising other clients to better their finances. But ironically, we find ourselves in pitfalls whereby we cannot pull ourselves out, right? So how can we change the narrative in a sense, right? And to better ourselves, to be in a better position financially and take care of ourselves that way. And so this is what we're trying to shed some light on in this regard. So why so we don't need to bury ourselves in under the weight of finance or finances. So we need to pull ourselves out in so many ways. And this could be as simple as starting making a lifestyle audit, right? You make a lifestyle audit of yourself. And so at this point, we're not cutting back yet because cutback can be very, very bad. So imagine withdrawing someone from a drug. It can be very difficult, and also it's quite a challenge in itself. So we could try to start by tracking our spending, for example, or tracking exactly where does our money go, right? It's as simple as that. So before you do the cutback, because it's very hard, we all have to live and enjoy life at the same time. And if you do a lifestyle, if you do an audit of yourself, what would you find in that scenario? Yeah. So a position like that, I think, is where most of us should be. So tracking everywhere our finances go, not every penny per se, because it may be very difficult, but at least knowing, having an idea exactly where the money goes. Because most of us tend to ask ourselves, where did the money go? So we need to track the money, right? And once you know where the money is going, then I think it puts you in a better position to make the next decision, right? And of course, that decision will be setting realistic goals, right? So if you can make a realistic goal, okay, I need to be at this position by the end of the year, right? You setting a realistic goal in your means, I think that's the best starting point, right? And then working towards those goals to see whether you can achieve them in the end. And I know the topic of money for most people be some sort of a taboo. You may have a group of friends, for example, and none of you know how much the other person makes, right? And which is very weird because if it may be a different story if perhaps you're working with them in the same job, maybe different story. But then if even if that's not actually, if they're your friend, ideally you should be comparing to see where both of you are, whether you're being compensated fairly. So so in that case, then we shouldn't be avoiding the topic of money at any corner or any scenario, really. Right. So having that discussion with them, with your friends, and also comparing to see exactly where you stand financially, I think can be a motivating goal for us to push a little bit further. And perhaps we could get the strength to ask for like a pay rise at work, for example. Because that's one thing we also tend to shy away from, but yet it's very, very important. Yeah. I don't know, it becomes difficult to ask for a little bit more at work, but I think that's the way the system is rigged in a way. I don't know whether it's rigged or not, but at least then if you set your goals and you see, okay, my goals fit this kind of thing, then I think it gives you motivation to go to work and ask, you know, or do comparisons with other people to see exactly how you fall in a bracket to see whether perhaps you're overspending or maybe you are below budget or below our compensation, basically. Yeah. And if you can change that. And also, so once you've set your goals, of course, now you can move on to the usual thing we all hear, which is budgeting. So with budgeting, um, I think we shouldn't be looking at it as a form of restriction to what we restriction for us to enjoy life, but rather something we can as a tool. Because most of us here we're in accounting and perhaps we've worked with budgets at some point, right? And if we can build comprehensive budgets for different individuals or organizations as well, why does it become very difficult for us, right? And why does it come on the back foot at the end of the day? So ideally, we should be uh, perhaps integrating what we learn, the skills we learn from work, and carrying them into our personal financial lives as well. So, and I think that way it gives us a better position to you know, to manage ourselves as our finances and also do a bit of financial self-care for ourselves as well, right? And as part of that, of course, the biggest part, and I think it's the biggest hole we fall into, which is debt, right? So debt money. So I think this is where debt management comes in, right? So you find that someone has five, six credit cards, right? And perhaps they're paying for a financial, they have account finance, right? So all those things, that's all debt, right? So if you can put that debt, if you can pull that debt together and then just manage it frequently, like really skillfully and tactfully, I think that'll be a better move for our financial futures, right? So if you have 6 credit cards, for example, do you need all of them? Should be one of the first questions, right? Okay, I don't need all of them. 3 credit cards can do for me, or 2 credit cards can, that's fine. So how about you pay off the other ones, focus on paying off the other ones, then just maintain the 2 or maintain the 3. So I think then at that point, that's an initial move you're making. And of course, that can, so once you manage that debt, that means number one, you'll be saving your credit, okay? Meaning that you should be able, so once your credit history is all right and your scores are right, then at that point you should be able to borrow better in a sense that perhaps you'll be borrowing at lower rates if you have to borrow. And the whole credit picture will be looking better, okay? Or you'll be able to place your debt better where it's most needed, as opposed to getting a credit card out or getting debt to just go spend it. Yeah. So directing debt and putting it in position and in putting it to things that do matter, I think that's the best scenario. Because we've seen it with companies we work for, and we do see exactly how they manage their debt sometimes, So the way you manage it, the better, and it's the way it plays to your advantage. And then, of course, there's just two more points to make as well. Planning for taxes, because some of us may be self-employed, okay? Or some of us may be in jurisdictions whereby you pay your taxes at the end of the year. And there are also different scenarios. So, for example, if you have to do a tax return at the end of the year, there will be taxes to be taken off, obviously, or depending on exactly what your results are for the year. And I've come in contact with clients and different scenarios I've seen whereby clients they've taken out the money or just received money from whatever sources they're getting it from. And you come to the end of the tax year, you've done a tax return for them. All of a sudden, they're hit with, let's say, a 30,000 bill of tax. And so the point is like, oh, I don't have this kind of money. Well, it's been over 12 months and also plus 9 months as well before the due date. So ideally, if someone had their eye on the ball, for example, you should have been putting this money aside to cater for your taxes. Okay. So, and most people tend to forget that because taking out the money and enjoying it is one thing, and people tend to forget about the end result, which will be tax, because the tax man wants a cut of that as well, right? So if you can plan for that, for example, that means it puts in a better position, and you in a better position, meaning that once you get to the point where the deadlines or before the deadlines to make payment, you will be in position to pay that money, right? And perhaps because we've seen people take out loans to pay off tax. Sometimes and it could be due to poor planning, maybe, or it could be whatever, it could be their strategy. So if it's your strategy, that's fine. If it's not, then I think something has to change. But then planning for taxes is definitely a good point, right? So lastly, what I could point out is, so now this is looking to the future, and this is planning for retirement. Okay. I'm definitely not a financial advisor, but we all know that if we can plan for the future, I think it saves us a little. It calms the waters, so to speak, right? In a sense that okay, most of us here, our age range is not close to retirement, most of us. So meaning that if we started now, for example, putting some money away towards that goal. So now this is the goal we're talking about. So the goal is retirement, right? If we get that, so the goal is to set a little bit aside to put away into our pension schemes or whatever schemes there is out there. Just in planning for the future for retirement. What position does that put us at? Okay. I believe it will put us in a place whereby we'll be a little bit relaxed about the future. Okay. Again, I've worked with clients as well, whereby so they get to their 50s or later in their 40s, and then you see them kind of trying to pump a lot of money away, lump sums away now. For example, in the UK, the tax the pension allowance is about £60,000. So you find that someone wants to maximize that as much as they can because they've over the years they've not put much away. So which becomes a little tight for some clients, okay? Because you're trying to maximize exactly how much you can put away into a pension, but then there's not enough at the same time, okay? Or you basically it becomes really tight. So how about if we come from now, so starting to put something away, I think that will put us in a better position later on, and to you know to relax us a little bit, and also just manage our finances that way for the future. I think it's a better position for most of us to be in. So in conclusion, so this is all this summarized up, we can say this is all financial care, self-care, really. So if you can pick a point or two, whether you're just picking on building a budget or just picking on managing debt, which most of us fall into, or just getting the nerve to go to work and ask for a pay rise, or just putting all sorts of plans away, putting all sorts of plans together, and also building that common goal to find yourself at a certain point. I think it's a better position for most of us to be in, and to start being mindful of this self-care we tend to ignore, but yet it's a driving force for everything we do these days, right? So I'll leave it there, and I'll say let's hone our practices and build a solid financial future for ourselves, and also for those that depend on us at the same time. Thank you for your time this morning, and we'll build on that. If anyone has any questions or wants to add to that, more than happy. Thank you.
Yeah, grand rising, everyone.
Grand rising.
Okay. So, the topic of discussion, financial self-care. So, for me, what I can add, because we might be having all sorts of things for our own personal self, you create a budget, you take financial literacy classes and everything. But one thing that I will add into it is you as an individual, you should always learn to say no. You need to learn to say no always. There are certain things that might be coming up. Most of the time it's from families and close friends or relatives, yeah, close relatives that will be trying to bill you. But you need to say no. The reason being why you need to say no, because if, for instance, each and every time people are coming your way and then you're always there to rescue them, yeah, that's fine. It's good. It's a goodwill in both in any religious belief. They'll tell you, oh, that is the right thing to do. But seriously, you learning to say will save you a lot, because if you have created your budget and then someone might come and say, you know what, please, can you help on this and so rescue me? Yeah, you can rescue them. But what if the person does not utilize that money or the money well? Huh? Don't you think the person will be coming in return again? So at the end of the day, it gives you stress, and it's enable you not to the way you are planning yourself, your life, it will not go that way. Because, and most of the time, that will give you stress because someone you might be thinking, I need to give this person. But at the end of the day, because you have learned to say no, it gives you that kind of stress. You feel that you feel guilty, like because you know that you are well aware that I have this, but I'm unable to give this person currently. So that gives you stress. So for you to reduce this stress, you need to always learn to say no. For me, this is my own take on this topic. Thank you.
Um, yeah, good morning. I also like to add my voice to that one. Yes, it's good to say no, but it's also good to put smile on the faces of others. Yes, yeah. Sometimes you be surprised what the other person is going through. Yes, so as much as we want to say no, uh, so the point here is how to balance it. Yes, how to balance it. We find a way to balance it so that at least in our little way, we can also put smile on other people's faces. Yes. So for me, if you set some aside that in those circumstances, you're going to touch that one, and maybe some aside to put smile on other people's faces. For me, I think it's not that bad, but just try to find a way to balance it out. Thank you.
So that means this has to be part of the budgeting, right? Yeah. So you put aside something to give away.
Definitely,
But
it's part of the life. Yes, no, yes, in our little way, I think we can just balance things up and just put little smile on other people. Sometimes people go through a lot, and just a little touch
yeah,
can lift them up. Yes,
fantastic.
just as we are being lifted up here.
All right.
Yes, yeah, Mr. Bola, I don't know, yes. It's a lot of sacrifices, not financially, but I think it's touching lives. Yes, there is not only the money, but the time too is part of it. It's part of our resources. Yes, so just trying to balance things out so that at least in our little way, we can also touch some lives. Thank you.
Thanks, Irene.
Hello. Good morning, all. I also want to add something and shed some light on about the aspect that give yourself some time before spending. Especially when it comes to online shopping, there are a lot of apps that gives you instinct to spend and instantly even on those things that you do not need in urgency. But I would like to say that before buying, just give yourself some time to think, like a day or two, that you really need it or not. It helps me a lot when I'm going to buy something online. Then sometimes you get an instinct that you want to buy something instantly, but when I think about give myself time about a day or two, then I realize that no, this is something not urgent. I don't need it, and it helps me to control my craving for spending online. So I would suggest that you all also give yourself some time before spending something online. I know that's very tempting to see things online and get something. Oh, it's just £1. You can just spend it, but those £1 could cost you on your budget planning. That gives you, in the end of the month, you realize, oh, I should not have spent instantly on those things. If I would have controlled on my cravings, it wasn't urgent. So it really helps you manage your budget. That's my one of my aspect of managing budgets. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Joseph, for today's topic. It's been a wonderful topic. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for your contribution. And yeah, it's 9:30, so we'll close our meeting here for today. Thank you, guys. I just have a few announcements before we go. I'm sure as